Why do most people overpay for homes in Barrie? Well, we put a video together for you guys to let you know why. Like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let us know how we did, and maybe if some of the things that we forgot, maybe a problem that you've had, let us know. Are you thinking of buying a house in Barrie?
Well, you are not alone. Biggest problem, though, is that a lot of people tend to overpay and they don't even realize it.
What are some of the things, Jake, that you think that
I think the number one reason people end up overpaying is that they get too emotional when it comes into the purchasing of the property. You fall in love with it and you end up thinking, I have to have this no matter what, which is not always the best. One of the things that we like to teach our clients is that in order to sell a house property, you need to buy it. Sell a house property, sell a house properly, you need to be able to speak and buy a house properly. Biggest thing is that you might say, oh, well, I'm planning on living in this house forever. Life doesn't always agree with your plans.
Yeah. What if we got to sell it next week or next month?
Exactly.
Right?
And in order to sell that and not put yourself in the hole, you need to be able to purchase it at a reasonable price that would be, ideally less than what you would sell it for, but certainly not a whole bunch over.
Well, and what happens is when you go in to look at a house, the emotions do take over, as you talked about. So what we suggest to do is to go back home, sit out, have a coffee, have a drink away from the house, and do all of the things that you loved about the house still make sense? Or is it just an emotional thing? I need this, as you said. And then you go back to your needs and want list, which we were talking about, which you should have every time you go to look at properties, and go back and check to make sure that those houses are correct. The other thing, too, is knowledge of neighborhoods. Like people come in and they go, oh, I love this house. And you may end up being the most expensive house in the neighborhood. And that's not what you want to be.
No, right? Ideally, you want to be the least expensive house in a neighborhood. Really, all it means is that all of the houses around you are bringing the value of your property up by comparison, right? Just because you're the least expensive house on a street does not mean that you are a shack by any means. You're still a lovely home. You're just not paying top dollar to be sitting in this amazing neighborhood.
The other reason why people have a tendency to overpay is, how do you say this politely? Lack of local knowledge. So whether that translates to an agent that has never worked in that area or doesn't know that area specifically, or an agent that's from out of town.
Long story short, trust your agent. Make sure that, ideally they're from the area. You can be as great at research as you want, unless you're from the area that you're trying to sell in. Like, there's always going to be a disadvantage there. Like, we know pockets of this lovely city that people in Toronto aren't going to know. The thing with pricing when it comes to properties is, as long as you have the evidence to back it up in terms of comparables, and you're constantly comparing the like properties, you have a bungalow for sale, don't bring me a 2-story telling me that the bungalow should be more expensive. You're comparing apples to oranges with that. Make sure your comparables are good.
Well, and what happens too is if you're moving to like-minded areas, so for an example, if you're coming from a town that has a similar pricing to Barrie, when we have agents that come from south of here, what happens is, even in this area that we're in right now, these homes here would be $400,000 or $500,000, maybe even $700,000 more, and they bring their client up here and they think, oh wow, this is a great deal, when in actual fact you may end up paying more for the house.
Yeah, they're used to comparing the property to the location that they're from as opposed to the location that they're purchasing in, and the markets often just don't quite line up the way that they should. That being said, when the markets do line up and pricing is right, you can end up in competition, which is then another way that people end up overpaying, which is because having multiple offers is often referred to as a bidding war. People often, let that take the reins, and they just, I gotta have this house, we gotta put as much money on it as possible in order to get it. But again, one of the important things that we tell our clients is, whether you're in competition or not, do your best to remove yourself from that. Find the number of the property that within value, again, which you can find by doing the research, finding comparables, that sort of thing. Find the number that if the house sold for more than that number, you don't lose sleep over it. You never want to be in a situation of, I could have offered $5,000 more, $10,000 more. Then you're just kicking yourself. But it's often people get too caught up in it and they end up overpaying by 20, 30, $50,000 when, second offer in there, obviously they don't know this, but might have only been like list price or something. Like it's just, you got to do your due diligence, pick your number, and then just stick to your guns. There's always going to be more houses.
People are overpaying for houses, and unfortunately that does happen. How do you avoid that? Well, local, local, local. In the same respect where real estate is all about location, 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 you should be looking at your real estate agent who's local, understands the location, understands your needs and wants, etc., and is in the best position to negotiate and do the best job for you.
Yeah, at the end of the day, people are going to overpay for properties. It's just a matter of fact. There are too many people out there to quote unquote save them all. But best we can do is give you guys the best information we can and help you make the right decision.